The galaxy had already decided what humanity was. In old star maps and quiet council rooms, Earth was marked with a simple symbol. Prey. A young world. Soft. Loud. Easy to frighten. Alien fleets passed near the solar system and watched from a distance, calm and patient, like hunters waiting for the right moment. They believed humans would panic when the sky finally darkened with ships. James stood inside a small command room beneath the surface of Earth. The room was plain, filled with old screens, cables, and worn chairs. It was not impressive. That did not bother him. He had learned long ago that strength did not always look powerful. Sometimes it looked tired and still standing. Around him, men and women worked in quiet focus. They were not soldiers in shining armor. They were pilots, engineers, volunteers, and former civilians who had learned quickly because they had to. James watched their faces. There was fear there. He did not deny that. But fear had not stopped them from coming. Above ground, the sky was clear. Too clear. Emily noticed it first. She worked alone in a listening station far from cities and lights. Her job was simple in words but heavy in meaning. She listened. She watched numbers and signals move across her screens. For weeks, she had seen patterns that did not belong to stars or noise. Something was moving with purpose. Emily leaned closer to her screen as another signal appeared. It was sharp and controlled. Not natural. Her hands moved fast as she recorded it and sent the data to command. She did not panic. She felt cold instead. Calm but heavy. "They are closer," she said softly to herself. James received her message minutes later. He read it twice. Then a third time. He closed his eyes for a brief moment, then opened them again. "All units," he said, his voice steady. "This is not a drill." Across Earth, alarms did not scream. There was no reason to scare people yet. Humanity had learned that noise often helped the enemy. Instead, quiet messages moved through secured lines. Systems woke up. Old satellites changed position. Hidden defenses powered on. High above the planet, alien ships slipped into view. They were smooth and dark, shaped like curved blades. They did not rush. They spread out slowly, confident and relaxed. Their commanders watched Earth through distant sensors and shared quiet amusement. The prey had not noticed yet. Or so they believed. The first attack was meant to be small. A test. A single strike against a remote defense platform orbiting Earth. The aliens expected panic. Confusion. Maybe a loud message begging for mercy. The shot came without warning. A beam of energy crossed space and struck the platform. The platform did not explode. It burned. It broke apart slowly. Pieces drifted away in silence. The aliens waited for a reaction. On Earth, James watched the screen as the platform was lost. Someone in the room inhaled sharply. No one screamed. No one ran. "Signal?" James asked. "Still transmitting," an operator replied. "Weak but active." James nodded. "Then they're still alive." The aliens did not see what happened next. From the wreckage, small human drones activated. They were simple machines, built from old designs and improved again and again. They spread out, sending data back to Earth. They did not attack. They watched. Emily's screens filled with new information. She smiled just a little. "They showed their hand," she whispered. The alien fleet adjusted position. Confusion rippled through their ranks. The prey was not screaming. It was studying. Another strike followed, aimed closer to Earth. This time, human defenses responded. Not with power, but with precision. Energy shields flared briefly, then faded. The attack did damage, but not enough. James leaned forward. "Hold," he said. "Let them think we're weaker than we are." Some of his people looked at him, uncertain. But they obeyed. In alien command vessels, confidence began to crack. The prey was still standing. The prey was not begging. The prey was learning. Emily worked fast, tracking movement patterns. She noticed something important. The alien weapons were strong but slow to adjust. They followed rules. Humans did not. "James," she said through the secure line, "they expect us to move like them." James smiled. "Then we won't." On his order, human defenses changed rhythm. Shields appeared and vanished at strange times. Small ships moved in unpredictable paths. Communication stayed quiet. No threats were sent. No warnings given. The aliens hesitated. That hesitation cost them. A human strike team launched from the dark side of the planet. Their ships were small and unremarkable. They carried no heavy weapons. Instead, they carried tools. Devices meant to confuse sensors, bend signals, and make space feel empty when it was not. They did not destroy anything. They disrupted. Alien screens flickered. Target locks failed. Commanders raised their voices, anger replacing calm. This was not how prey behaved. The aliens pulled back slightly, regrouping. The first test was over. On Earth, James allowed himself one deep breath. They had survived. That mattered. Emily leaned back in her chair, exhausted but focused. She knew this was only the beginning. The galaxy would not forget what it had seen today. Across space, records updated quietly. Not officially. Not yet. But notes were added. Observations made. Humanity had not fled. Humanity had adapted. Humanity had endured. And for the first time, the hunters wondered if they had chosen the wrong prey. The alien response came slowly, but it came with weight. After the first clash, the fleets did not rush Earth again. Instead, they spread outward like a net tightening. Trade routes that humans used to reach nearby systems went dark one by one. Cargo ships vanished. Signals stopped returning. Supplies meant for colonies never arrived. The galaxy watched. Alien leaders shared stories through their networks. They called humans unstable, dangerous, too emotional to trust. They warned others not to trade with Earth, not to answer human calls, not to help when humans begged. They were sure begging would come soon. On Earth, fear did grow, but not in the way the aliens expected. Michael stood at the edge of a crowded shelter, watching families move inside. The building was old, built long before Space War was real. Now it held hundreds of people. Children. Elders. Workers who had never held a weapon in their lives. Michael spoke calmly, guiding them forward. "There's room," he said. "Stay together. Follow the lights." Jessica worked beside him, her voice steady even as alarms hummed in the distance. She checked names, handed out supplies, and made sure no one was left behind. She did not rush. Rushing caused mistakes. They were not only moving people. They were moving hope. Once the shelters were secure, Michael and Jessica met with others in a quiet room underground. Maps covered the walls. Routes glowed red where ships had vanished. Yellow lines showed possible paths still open. "We can't fight them head-on everywhere," Jessica said. "So we don't." Michael nodded. "We slow them down." Human tools were simple compared to alien weapons. Old engines. Mining charges. Navigation beacons. But humans had used these things for generations. They knew how to break them, change them, and turn them into something new. Small teams moved through space using abandoned paths. They left behind false signals, broken cargo, and empty ships drifting just enough to draw attention. When alien patrols approached, nothing happened at first. Then systems failed. Engines stalled. Sensors filled with noise. Communication lines crossed and collapsed. The aliens lost ships without ever seeing a human face. David watched reports come in from a quiet room filled with screens. He was not a fighter. He studied patterns. He listened more than he spoke. Something stood out to him. "Their timing is wrong," he said one day. James looked at him. "Explain." "They expect us to react fast," David said. "They think pressure makes us rush. But we don't. We wait. We prepare. They don't understand that." James considered this. "They think patience means weakness." David nodded. "But it's the opposite. Every human loss hurt. Every destroyed ship mattered. But each loss also taught them something. How alien sensors worked. How their weapons cooled down. How long their crews hesitated before changing plans. The aliens grew frustrated. They increased pressure. More routes were cut. More warnings spread across the galaxy. Humans were called liars. Trappers. A threat to order. Some species listened. Others began to doubt. Why did prey need so much effort to contain? In one distant system, an alien patrol followed a weak distress signal. It led them to a damaged human freighter drifting near an asteroid field. The ship looked helpless. As the patrol moved closer, the asteroid shifted. They were not asteroids. They were human mining shells, hollowed out and filled with signal breakers. The patrol's sensors went blind. Ships collided. By the time vision returned, the humans were gone. No bodies. No message. Just silence. Jessica read the report later and closed her eyes. No one died. "Not this time," Michael said. She exhaled slowly. "Good." They did not enjoy this. They did not celebrate. This was survival, not sport. On Earth, people learned to live with less. Lights were dimmer. Food was shared carefully. Stories were told quietly in shelters. Not stories of fear but of endurance, of waiting out storms, of holding ground. Children asked hard questions. Adults answered honestly. "Yes, it's dangerous. Yes, we are scared. But we are still here." The alien councils argued among themselves. Some demanded stronger force. Others urged caution. Reports kept coming in. Humans adapting. Humans planning. Humans refusing to break. Whispers spread through neutral systems. They don't act like prey. They lose ships but grow stronger. They wait. The galaxy had rules. War had patterns. Humans did not follow them. James stood again in the same command room, older now, more tired. Emily's signal still flowed in. Michael and Jessica's evacuation plans held. David's observations guided strategy. Humanity was bleeding but not kneeling. Across space, alien commanders stared at maps that no longer made sense. The prey was not running. The prey was learning how to survive the hunt. And the galaxy began to wonder what would happen if the hunt continued too long. The invasion no longer hid itself. Alien ships arrived in numbers too large to ignore. They moved straight toward Earth, filling space with dark shapes and cold light. This was not a test. This was meant to end things. On Earth, skies changed color as warning systems activated. People were already underground. Cities stood quiet, lights low, waiting. Fear was present, but panic did not rule. Humanity had learned to prepare in silence. John stood inside a defense control room near the planet's surface. Screens surrounded him, showing movement across orbit. The enemy fleet was massive, strong, confident. Ashley stood beside him, reading live updates from human units spread across space. Her hands moved fast, but her voice stayed calm. "They're forming attack lines," she said. "Heavy weapons front. Command ships in the rear." John nodded. "Then we don't hit the front." Human defenses activated, but not all at once. Small shield bursts appeared in strange places. Old satellites powered up briefly, then went dark. Nothing made sense to the watching enemy. Alien weapons fired. Earth's orbit lit up with flashes as defenses took the hits. Platforms burned. Human ships were damaged. Some were lost. Inside command rooms, no one spoke of retreat. "Hold positions," John said quietly. "Stay linked." Human ships did not act alone. Each one relied on the others. One ship drew fire. Another slipped behind debris. A third relayed data instead of shooting. Power was not the plan. Cooperation was. Alien commanders watched the battle unfold and frowned. The prey should have scattered. Instead, they moved like parts of one body. Ashley noticed something important. "They're tracking individual targets," she said. John understood at once. "Then we stop being individual." On his signal, human ships changed formation. Signals merged. Systems synced. To enemy sensors, dozens of ships became one shifting shape. Target locks failed. Weapons missed. The aliens adjusted, firing wider blasts. Space shook. Human losses increased. Screens filled with warnings. "Damage reports coming in," Ashley said. John swallowed. "Acknowledge all units. No surrender code. No surrender." Across the battlefield, Daniel waited. His ship was small and damaged, hidden in the shadow of broken platforms. He listened to the noise of battle through weak sensors. He was calm but focused. His mission was simple and dangerous. When John's signal reached him, Daniel moved. He cut all active systems. Engines off. Weapons cold. His ship drifted like dead metal. Alien sensors passed over him without notice. Daniel guided his ship slowly toward the heart of the enemy formation. He did not rush. Every movement was careful. He trusted timing more than speed. Inside the alien fleet, command ships shared data and shouted orders. Confusion grew as human defenses refused to collapse. This was taking too long. Daniel reached his position. He activated a device built from old human tech and newer ideas. It sent no explosion. No light. Just silence. Across the alien fleet, communication links vanished. Command ships tried to speak to fighters. Fighters heard nothing. Sensors showed allies, then lost them. Orders stopped mid-sentence. The battle changed. Alien ships slowed, unsure. Some fired blindly. Others pulled back. Formation broke. Human units felt it immediately. "They've gone quiet," Ashley said, surprised. John stared at the screen. Daniel did it. Human ships did not cheer. They moved. They shifted positions, avoiding fire, protecting damaged units, pushing pressure without chasing. The goal was not destruction. It was confusion. Alien commanders struggled to regain control. This had never happened before. No prey had ever cut them off like this. No prey had ever chosen silence over noise. Minutes passed. Then more. Finally, alien communications returned, but the moment was gone. The fleet was scattered. Confidence was broken. Alien leaders hesitated. Should they push forward? Risk more losses? Or pull back and rethink? This hesitation spread. Human defenses held, battered but standing. Earth remained protected. John leaned back exhausted. Ashley allowed herself a small smile. Daniel drifted away from the enemy fleet, systems still dark. He waited until he was clear, then slowly powered up. Behind him, the alien fleet pulled back into a loose orbit. They did not flee. But they did not advance. For the first time since the hunt began, the hunters paused. Across the galaxy, observers took note. Prey did not fight like this. Prey did not choose teamwork over strength. Prey did not turn battle into silence. Humanity had taken damage. Humanity had suffered. But humanity had not surrendered. And in that pause, in that quiet moment above Earth, the balance of fear began to shift. Silence spread through space after the battle. Alien ships remained in orbit, damaged but still dangerous. Human defenses were strained. Many platforms were gone. Ships drifted with broken engines. Earth was tired but still standing. Lauren sat in a small communication room deep below the surface. The room was narrow, filled with old equipment and patched cables. This was not a place for speeches or threats. It was a place for truth. She listened to reports from orbit, from shelters, from distant listening posts. Every voice carried the same message. Humans were hurt, but they were protecting each other. No one was left behind if there was a choice. Lauren believed that message mattered. The galaxy had only seen humans as fighters or prey. It had not seen what humans protected. She began to work. Lauren did not send a warning. She did not send a threat. She sent a broadcast. Open, clear, unfiltered. It used no military codes. Anyone could receive it. The signal carried images and sound. It showed families moving underground, guided by calm voices. It showed Michael and Jessica helping injured people into shelters, staying until the last person was safe. It showed medics working under flickering lights. Engineers sharing tools. Pilots refusing evacuation so others could leave first. It showed humans standing in front of civilians when shields failed. Above Earth, alien sensors picked up the broadcast. At first, commanders ignored it. They expected lies or tricks. But the signal continued, steady and unchanged. It did not hide losses. It did not hide fear. It showed truth. Alien observers watched humans carry the wounded through smoke-filled halls. They watched ships move into enemy fire to cover evacuation paths. They watched small defense units refuse to break formation even when outmatched. This was not hunting behavior. This was protection. One alien commander replayed a moment again and again. A human ship, badly damaged, drifting. Instead of fleeing, it moved closer to Earth, placing itself between a city and incoming fire. The ship was destroyed seconds later. The city survived. Confusion spread through alien ranks. These are civilians, one observer said. Why do the fighters stay? Another replied, uncertain. They choose to. The broadcast reached far beyond the battlefield. Neutral systems received it. Traders. Observers. Species who had believed the fear stories. They saw humans with no weapons in their hands standing their ground anyway. On Earth, Lauren continued to send the signal. She added no words. She let the images speak. James watched part of the broadcast from command. His jaw tightened. Not from pride, but from understanding. This was who they were. This was what they were fighting for. Alien attacks slowed. Ships that had been moving into firing positions stopped. Weapons powered down, then back up again, unsure. Commanders argued. This was meant to be a hunt, one said. Why do they act like guardians? Another answered quietly, Prey does not do this. A small alien strike group broke formation and advanced toward Earth's atmosphere. Human defenses reacted at once. Ships moved to intercept, damaged but determined. The alien group paused. Through shared channels they saw the same broadcast. Humans shielding children. Humans refusing to abandon the weak. The strike group pulled back. Shock rippled through the alien fleet. This had never happened before. Lauren felt the shift before she saw it. Signal patterns changed. Enemy movement slowed. The pressure eased slightly, like a hand loosening its grip. They're listening, she whispered. Above Earth, one alien commander ordered a retreat to higher orbit. Not a full withdrawal. Just distance. Then another did the same. Human forces did not chase. John and Ashley watched the enemy pull back. They did not cheer. They stayed ready. This could still turn. But the firing stopped. Minutes passed. Then more. The broadcast continued, now showing repair teams working together. Humans sharing water. sitting quietly in shelters, holding hands. Alien commanders watched in silence. The hunt had failed. What they saw did not fit their records. Humans were not fearless. Humans were not invincible. But humans chose each other even when it cost them. That choice shook something deep. Finally, a message came from the alien fleet. Short. Careful. We are disengaging. No threat followed. No demand. Just distance. Alien ships began to withdraw from close orbit. Slowly. Carefully. As if afraid the moment might break. On Earth, alarms lowered. People did not rush outside. They waited. Humanity had learned patience well. Lauren ended the broadcast at last. She leaned back exhausted. She had not won a battle. She had shown a truth. James stood in silence, watching enemy ships grow smaller on the screen. They saw us, he said quietly. Emily nodded from her station. And they didn't like what they learned. Across space, alien records updated again. Not with words like prey or weak. With uncertainty. The attackers pulled back, shaken. They had come to hunt. Instead, they had been taught something they were not ready to understand. That even when outmatched, humans stand between danger and those they love. And that lesson followed them as they retreated into the dark. The galaxy did not announce the change. There was no grand message, no public apology, no loud correction spoken across the stars. Instead, quiet systems updated their records. Old labels were removed. New ones were added with care. Earth was no longer marked prey. It was marked resilient. Observers across distant systems noticed the change in small ways. Trade routes reopened slowly. Neutral stations began answering human signals again. Some alien ships passed near human space and did not turn their weapons toward it. The hunt was over. On Earth, life did not rush back to what it once was. Cities stayed cautious. Defenses remained active. People moved carefully, aware that peace could be fragile. James walked out of the underground command center for the first time in weeks. The sky above him was pale and quiet. No ships. No fire. Just clouds drifting as they always had. He breathed deeply. The command room had been loud with voices and alarms for so long that the silence felt strange. He did not miss the noise. He did not miss the weight of constant decisions that could cost lives. James handed over his command duties without ceremony. Others would take over now. Strong people. Careful people. Humanity had learned that leadership was shared, not owned. He returned to a small home near the edge of a quiet town. The house was simple. A place to sleep. A place to think. In the evenings he sat outside and watched the stars. He did not feel pride. He felt responsibility. The galaxy was watching now, even if it pretended not to be. Emily returned to her listening station. The screens were still there. The signals still moved across space. But the noise was different. Less sharp. Less threatening. She adjusted her equipment and began her work again. Listening had always been her strength. She noticed something new. Alien signals near human space slowed when passing by. They did not probe as deeply. They did not test boundaries as they once had. Emily recorded everything. She did not trust silence completely. Silence could mean many things. But this silence felt like caution, not hunger. Michael and Jessica helped close shelters that had saved thousands. They did not rush people back to the surface. They made sure systems worked. That supplies were ready if needed again. David continued to study patterns. He noticed that alien fleets avoided long engagements near human systems. They chose distance instead of pressure. They remember, he said quietly during one briefing. They learned something they didn't expect. John and Ashley helped rebuild damaged platforms in orbit. Human ships were repaired, not replaced. Scarred metal stayed scarred. It reminded crews what they had survived. Daniel returned his ship to a quiet dock. He said little about what he had done. He did not seek attention. He did not want it. Lauren received messages from distant systems. Some were simple thanks. Others were questions. A few were apologies that never used the word sorry. She answered carefully, calmly, without anger. Humanity did not demand fear. It did not demand respect. It accepted caution. Across Earth, people resumed small routines. Children returned to learning. Workers fixed roads and power lines. Farmers tended land that had never known space war but had felt its shadow. There were no parades. There were no victory speeches. The cost had been too high for celebration. Instead, people remembered quietly. Names spoken softly. Moments honored without noise. In distant alien halls, commanders reviewed records again and again. Human behavior did not match any old models. They had expected collapse, panic, desperation. They had found endurance. They had found unity. They had found a species that did not seek war, but did not fear standing firm. This unsettled them more than any weapon. James met Emily one evening at a small cafe near the edge of the city. They sat outside, watching lights flicker on as the sun set. "Do you think it's really over?" James asked. Emily thought for a moment. "No," she said. "But it's different now." James nodded. "They know we're not helpless. They know we watch," Emily added. They drank in silence for a while. Around them life continued. People talked quietly, laughed softly, shared food. The world moved forward without rushing. Across the galaxy, records settled into place. New students would read them someday. They would see the change and ask why. The answer would not be simple. It would speak of a species that endured pressure without breaking, that protected its weak, that chose patience over panic, a species that survived being hunted. Humanity did not rise as conquerors. It stood as something harder to face. Still here. Still watching. Still unbroken.